Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are getting our hands dirty with something really practical. We're talking about power dynamics.
Right.
Specifically, we're looking at a source that gives this incredibly detailed, sometimes ruthless roadmap for winning.
It's more than a roadmap, it's almost a field manual for anyone who's ambitious. We're going to synthesize some of the core principles for you today.
Yeah, and we're starting right at the beginning. The foundational laws that govern how you manage relationships.
With everyone, your boss, your friends, and even how people perceive what you're actually trying to do.
So the mission today is to pull out the actionable stuff, the wisdom that's maybe a little counterintuitive, from the first three laws.
It's about understanding the rules of the game.
Exactly. Even if you decide you don't want to play. So, okay, let's just jump in with the first law, which is, I think, probably the most crucial one for just professional survival. So law number one is direct, almost brutally simple. Never outshine the master. The idea is you always have to make the people above you feel comfortably superior. But the why behind it is what's so fascinating. It's really about ego.
It's entirely about ego.
Mm-hmm.
People in power, almost by definition, are insecure. If you come in and you're just a little too talented, a little too brilliant,
Right.
they don't see you as an asset. They see you as a threat.
Yeah.
And that immediately sparks fear, which leads to, well, retaliation.
And the source gives us this classic, just devastating historical example of what not to do. Nicolas Fouquet.
Oh, yes. The Minister of Finance under
Yeah.
the young Louis XIV of France. A brilliant guy, super effective, but he had a fatal flaw.
He's just way too flashy.
Exactly. So in 1661, he throws this massive party at his brand new estate, Vaux-le-Vicomte,
And on the surface, it's to honor the king.
supposedly.
Uh,
But you have to think about the context. Louis XIV is still young. He's building his whole sun-king persona.
And Fouquet's party, I mean, it was just on another level. The food, the entertainment. Molière wrote a new play just for the event.
But the real problem was the estate itself. The house, the gardens. It was just bigger and better than anything the king had at the time.
So Louis doesn't feel honored. He feels insulted.
He felt upstaged, in front of his entire court. Fouquet's party didn't reflect glory back onto the king. It soaked it all up for himself. He basically, accidentally or not, suggested that he was richer and, well, a better king than the actual king.
And the result was immediate.
Oh, yeah. Within weeks, Louis has him arrested. By D'Artagnan, by the way.
The real D'Artagnan, yep. And Fouquet spent the next 20 years of his life in prison. That's a terrifying price to pay for throwing a great party.
It's the ultimate lesson in Law 1. Your talent has to be presented as a gift to your superior. It should confirm their wisdom in hiring you, not cast a shadow on their own light.
So it's not about doing bad work. It's
Yeah.
about strategically giving away the credit.
Precisely.
Okay, so what does it look like when someone gets this right? We have the example of Galileo.
A perfect counterexample. Galileo needs funding. He needs protection from the church. He's a scientist trying to survive.
So when he discovers the four moons of Jupiter in 1610, he has a choice.
He could have named them after himself, right? Cement his own legacy. But instead, he immediately dedicates them to his patron, Cosimo II de' Medici. He calls them the Medicean stars.
And the genius here is in the details. The Medici family crest had 3 spheres on it.
Right, so Galileo comes along and says, forget 3 little spheres on Earth, I'm giving you 4 stars in the heavens. He's literally associating their family name with cosmic permanence.
He's basically saying, my genius exists to make you look more important.
Exactly. He let his patron share in the glory, and in return, he got his funding and protection. It's the perfect execution of the law. It's about who gets the credit in the end.
Okay, so if Law 1 is about managing up, Law 2 is about managing across. Your peers, your allies.
And this one is maybe the most jarring, the most cynical.
It really is. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies.
It just feels wrong, doesn't it? It goes against how we're raised. But the logic is all about the nature of the bond. A friendship is emotional.
And emotions are messy, unpredictable.
And they easily lead to envy. You assume there's a level of honesty and security with a friend that might just not be there when ambition gets involved.
And because you trust them, you're not watching them, you have a blind spot.
A deadly blind spot. The source points to the Byzantine Emperor Michael III and his friend Basil.
Right, so Michael pulls Basil, who's just a farmer, out of nowhere.
Showers him with gifts, power, makes him head of the royal stables, his closest confidant. He trusts him completely.
And Basil uses that trust.
He weaponizes it. He learns all the state secrets, all the emperor's weaknesses. And this constant flow of favors, it doesn't create loyalty. It creates entitlement.
And then resentment.
Exactly. Basil slowly builds his own power base, and eventually, he has Michael murdered and takes the throne himself.
Wow. So the lesson is that familiarity creates the perfect opportunity for betrayal.
Because you let your guard down.
So what's the alternative? Using an enemy? That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is risky, but the argument is that the loyalty is stronger because it's not based on emotion, it's transactional.
Okay, explain that.
A former enemy who you bring over to your side has something to prove. They know you're watching them. Their survival, their advancement, it all depends on this new alliance.
So they have more to lose.
Much more. Their loyalty is driven by necessity and maybe a little bit of fear, which are often stronger motivators than affection.
So the big takeaway here is that true trust should be based on shared interest, not a shared past.
That's the cold calculation.
Yeah.
A friend might feel entitled to betray you. A former enemy knows they can't afford to. If betrayal is coming, it's better that it comes from someone you're already watching carefully.
Okay, that brings us to Law 3, which is all about misdirection. Conceal your intentions.
This is such a powerful tool. It's about keeping people off balance by never letting them know what you're really after.
Because if they don't know your objective, they can't prepare a defense against it.
Right. And it works on two levels. You stop your rivals from blocking you, obviously, but more subtly, if you just seem simple or harmless.
People underestimate you.
They lower their guard completely. They think they have you figured out.
The source calls one technique the smoke screen of simplicity, and the master of this was Otto von Bismarck.
Oh, absolutely. In the 1850s, Bismarck had these massive, aggressive plans to unify Germany through war.
A huge ambition.
A world-changing ambition. And he knew if he showed his cards too early, every other power in Europe would have teamed up to stop him.
So he played a role.
He played the role of a plain-spoken, boring, conservative country squire. He used rhetoric that made him sound predictable, almost bumbling.
So his rivals just wrote him off.
They saw him as a functionary, not a visionary. And that harmless gray suit he was wearing gave him the time he needed to build up the Prussian army in plain sight. He'd already won before they even knew a game was being played.
That's the passive approach, just blending in. But sometimes you need an active distraction.
A decoy.
Yeah, and there's this incredible story from 1910 about a con man named Giesel.
A fantastic example. The goal was massive financial fraud. So first, Giesel creates a decoy. He and his partners pull off a quick, profitable house sale.
Okay, so that builds credibility, makes their investors feel safe.
Exactly. They look competent, trustworthy. But that's just the setup. The real trap is a huge, highly publicized boxing match they organize.
A rigged boxing match.
Completely rigged. And Giesel pretends to be this huge, enthusiastic fan of one of the boxers, a guy named Gross. He acts like it's a sure thing.
So all the investors, their eyes are on the fight.
They're focused on the drama, the spectacle, the sure bet. They're so distracted by Giesel's apparent sincerity and the excitement of it all.
That they don't see what's happening with their money behind the scenes.
Not at all. They pour their money in, Giesel and his crew collect all the wagers, and then they just vanish.
So the lesson is that you guide people's attention. A simple, ordinary action or a big, flashy one can completely hide your real objective.
If you approach a target directly, their walls go up. If you use a smokescreen or a decoy, you've already won half the battle.
So to recap, we've got 3 foundational laws here. Never outshine the master.
Beware of friends and learn how to use enemies.
And always, always conceal your intentions. They all really boil down to one thing, don't they? Appearance is more important than reality.
It is. And even if you're not someone who's trying to climb the ladder of power, understanding this stuff is critical.
So you can see it when it's being used against you.
Exactly. Now, you can spot the colleague who is constantly making sure their success reflects back on the boss, or the ally who seems to feel a little too entitled. You can decode the maneuvers.
The big lesson here really is that what you see is often a tool being used to hide what is actually happening.
And that leads to a final thought, a provocative one from the source material. It suggests that being too honest and open with a friend actually makes them more likely to betray you.
Because it makes them feel secure, it makes them vulnerable to their own jealousy.
So the question to leave you with is this: is genuine transparency always a liability when you're seeking long-term security? Or is the constant need for deception? Is that the real price you pay for pursuing power?
Something to think about. Until our next deep